Bundle. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome to the library. Coming to you today with an interrupting middle of the week video because, well, some stuff's ended up in the Casa del Fats. Primarily, I want to share the contents of this package with you. Now, many of you are going to see that, and well, you clicked on the thumbnail, that's what brought you here. We're opening up my first submission to PSA for card grading. Now, we talk a lot of comics, we talk a lot of Hyborian Age. This one's not going to really be for the majority of our regular viewers. But if any of you have ever considered doing this, I'm going to share with you my experience and how I got to here. And we'll also open up the package today to see each card that comes out of this and what I submitted and the grades that came out of that. I have no idea what's going to happen here. This could be a grade A schlemazel, but we're only going to find out when we go. The next two parts of this video are going to be two parts that are special parts. All right, now they're going to be specifically for you Angry Mob members. That's going to be part two. We'll talk about that when we get there. But bear in mind, what happens in the Angry Mob stays in the Angry Mob. So we're not going to, mum's the word on anything, but we're going to share what's inside that. Last part of this video is going to be us walking through a particular book that I took some time to get into the Casa del Fats because I'm focusing on one character in particular and building up a little more of that in the collection. For those of you who are Arthur Adams fans, you're going to want to stick around for part 3, because trust me, there's a reason why we're going here. Now, without any further ado, let's turn the camera around, get down at the desk, and start with part 1, which is my first submission to PSA and what's going to come out of it. Let's get into the sports cards or non-sports cards or, well, whatever the heck is in this box. Okay, listen, here's the deal, guys. I warned you in the intro. This part of the video is probably not going to be screaming to a lot of you comic fans or sword and sorcery fans because most of you are probably not dabbling in this particular sandbox. Let's call it that. From time to time, I do like to look at non-sports cards. And I bought Conan non-sports cards before. I've shared them with you guys on the actual posts that we can do on YouTube. And I've shared a couple other things that are sports cards related when I pick up a package when I'm out at a con. And I've enjoyed going through this. They're a lot of fun. And it actually harkens back to a lot of the non-sports card stuff that I bought when I was a teen in the 90s, early 90s. Well, earlier this year, I went out with a friend of mine, and we went to the Toronto Sports Card Expo. Now, that was just outside of Toronto, and it was in the third week of April? Thinking if I remember correctly, it's around the third week of April. Now, as of the recording of this video, it's the third week of August, so this is about 4 months later. I went to this show specifically because I knew PSA was going to be there, and I have always contemplated sending in sports cards or non-sports cards to get them graded to see what this whole card grading thing is all about. I've dabbled in the comic grading thing before. I've done that. We've got a whole bunch down in the Casa del Fats. But this one is a card thing. And as a kid of the early 1990s, I bought the Impel Marvel cards all the time. In fact, I went through those a couple of years back, pre-pandemic. And I think when I set them up in the binders, I had 6 complete sets and a whole bunch of the holograms, and I had multiple sets of the DC Cosmic cards, which came out just around the same time, a little bit later. And I've always sort of held off on it. Well, I finally did it. I sent them in. So I went to the show, filled out the paperwork, and sent them in. So what we're going to do today is we're going to open this up and see what comes out of it. Now, I'll tell you guys this in advance. Well, first let's get out the knife. And this is going to be taken in one shot, so bear in mind there's going to be some rambling here. But we'll go with this one. We'll go with this one today. The gist of the matter is, I want to walk through the process here for you guys so you grasp how this actually works if you go to a show to do this, if you're considering doing this for the first time. Now, bear in mind, it could be different in different locations. I'll tell you, I'm in Canada. Obviously, I went to the Toronto show. So this is how it went for me. I went in there with my stack of stuff, and I had them in a little cardboard box. And I knew what I wanted to send in, and I'd already gone through the process of taking the cards and looking at them individually and trying to see if I could pick the better conditioned ones within it. I got one of those fancy template things. You can buy them on eBay that actually walks through centering, of the card, because the image on these Impel old Marvel cards was horrible, and they had terrible quality control, which is why I guess it was hard for people to get high grades in these things. So I did that, and then I took them and I put them in penny sleeves, and then I took that and I stuck it inside this I don't know, hard, semi-hard case to put them in. And then I sat and filled out the form when I was actually at the show. I went to their booth and filled it out. And when I got there, I was surprised to find that they actually were giving out those little semi-hard, floppy things to put your cards in there for free. Wish I'd known that, because, well, I could have saved me a couple bucks. I went out and I bought them myself. So for any of you who are considering that, you are going to a show, I will tell you, they were giving these out for free. And they had a variety of different sizes. There was actually one guy that was filling out a form beside me that had one of those, you know, if you've seen the Pokemon cards that are like this big, had one of those things. And he was submitting that, and they had a thing for it. I was floored. Anyways, you then get in the line with your form, and you go up, and they go through everything you've got. They count out the cards. They make sure your written description matches. And one of the things they ask you to do in that form is put in the estimated value beside the card. And I guess that's part of the pricing, because when you send it in, they charge you a different amount for the value for the card. So while you're there, and if you're at a con, I can tell you, if you've done this before, you've got your phone out and you're looking these things up. Interweb is slow and it takes a while to fill out that form. So you might want to look up those values ahead of time. I finally got up, I filled out the form, I went through the whole questionnaire with them, and they went through all the cards, and we said, okay, we're going to send these away. And I said, no, okay, well, do I pay you now? Do I pay you later? What happens here? Well, the guy told me when I was there, here's what happens. We send them off to the States where we grade them. And then once they come back to Canada and they're graded, you'll get contacted by our Canadian division, and they'll give you your invoice, you pay, and we ship you your cards. So I go out and enjoy the rest of the show, kind of forget about it completely. No, I'll be honest, I did. And then last week I got an email saying, hey, listen, your cards are done. Here's your invoice. And all it said on the invoice was, okay, you got 24 cards, and they're $80 plus. Because I guess that's how they're triggering the price tier of what you go with. And then I had my fee. And then they FedExed it. And then this arrived at the house, which is pretty awesome. I gotta say, now, what's funny about this is this was here within like a day. And that makes sense because it's coming in from, I think it's Nova Scotia. And when I waited, thinking, okay, we're going to open this, I said, I'm going to open this on the weekend because I want to make sure I'm sharing with people what I got. I was so interested in this one, and the funny part about it is, Bean the comic-eating cat has been eating the living crap out of this package, so I hope he hasn't destroyed the cards. Anyway, let's open her up. That's enough description, and we'll go from here. So there's a tear strip. We're going to tear the tear strip. So we didn't even need the knife for that. Get that out of the way. And no, we need the knife because it's sticking. Well, you know, we'll do it the hard way. Because, you know, I could do things smarter, but why would I do that? I have to do it harder, because I'm that kind of guy. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Alright. So it comes in a little box like this. It's all taped up. You can see it's all taped up here. And my cards are inside this. Now on this side, it's got, I guess, a number that's associated with my invoice. But, you know, let's take out the knife and let's go through. Now what I'll do with these, because I know looking at me talking is really, really annoying and boring. What we're going to do is, as the cards come up, I'll show them to you briefly, but then I'll take images of them and we'll stick them up on the side over here as we go through. So very well taped. This is one heck of a secure package. I think that's... oh, I see. Does it open this way? Oh. Okay. Apparently it opens this way. Ho ho ho. So it's got a little PSA thing right there. Ooh, that makes it seem somewhat official. Oh no. Start looking at the grades as we go here. So we've got a bunch of bubbly to the side. I don't think this is 24 cards. It seems like a very thin stack for 24 cards, but you know, I could be wrong. So here we come. Unrolly, unrolly, unrolly. Yeah, I don't think this is 24 cards. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is not 24 cards. Alright, so the first thing we have here is a famous battle. 1990 Marvel Universe, Fantastic Four versus Galactus. And this is a 9.0. Now, it's interesting. I actually hear the card moving around in here. Am I supposed to hear that? Hold on, I can shake this right beside the mic. Do you hear that? Is that normal? I don't know. This is my first time doing cards. Does it look like it's sealed? It does. I guess it's sealed. Anyway, so yeah, there. It's a 9.0, and I'll put the image up over there. All right, the next one we sent in here was a 1990 Marvel Universe, and it is Apocalypse. And it is a 9.0. And where's that sound again? That's odd. That's, I don't know, whatever. All right, 9.0. I'll put the image up. Oh, here we go. Oh, Stan Lee. Oh, this is a fun one. This, I never understood why this was in the actual original run. Stan Lee. 9.0. All right. Okay, and that's great. Now, you do get the little barcode up at the top. You'll see the image over there. I'm not going to show it to the camera. And we'll go from there. Okay, so, oh, we miffed this one. Okay, so this one now, 1990 Marvel Universe Black Panther at a 6.0. How is it a 6.0? I wonder if no, there is no online profile here where you could look and see what the comments are. Now, there's a QR code in the back. I will scan the QR code in the back, and we'll see if it tells me anything about this, and maybe we'll add that in when we're closing it off, or maybe as an Easter egg at the end. Okay, Marvel Universe Iron Man as a 6.0. Now, if it's a 6.0, I find it hard to believe that this is an an $80 card. I'm questioning that. Okay. Another Marvel Universe Iron Man 6.0. Knocky knocky. Knocky knocky. I don't know. It looks centered to me. As I say, I'll scan the QR code. Maybe it'll tell me something. Okay, 1990 Marvel Universe Professor X. Now, this is a 9.0. There's that routing. This has got to be normal, because it's going through every single one. So I'll put that image up over there as well. I don't really see a qualitative image difference between that and the 6.0. 1992 Impel X-Men. So I did the Deadpool. Yeah, it's rattling. Yeah, that's weird. And it came in at an 8.0. All right, Green Goblin, Impel, Marvel Universe. 6.0 Green Goblin. Weird. Very weird. Oh, here's there to get into some sports cards. Okay, so now we get into some sports cards that I threw in here, because I guess I threw in a sampling. So this is a 2018 Topps Gallery Ronald Acuna Jr. rookie card at a 10.0. Now, this isn't knocking back and forth. That's solid. I'll put the image up over there for you guys. So that's a 10.0. I wonder if it's easier for them to do the grading because of that. Okay, we got a 2018 Topps Shohei Ohtani pitching. Is it a variant, maybe? It's his rookie card, and it's a 9.0. Rock solid. Put the image over there. Oh, last one we got in here. Okay, so what's this one? Oh, this is one that was an interesting one. When I was filling out the form on this, the guys who were actually working the booth wanted to see this card, and they thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know. This could be something that's actually, maybe it's worth something. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to believe that these 6.0 Marvel Impel Universe Iron Man cards are $80 plus. So I'm somewhat dubious on the pricing here. Somewhat. This one, maybe it is worth something. So it's the 2018 Topps Gallery Shohei Ohtani rookie card Heritage Blue. That's a long description. I'll put the image up over there. Apparently this came in at a Gem Mint 10.0. And it's limited to, what is it, 63 out of 99. Oh, apparently only 99 of these exist. Now, I pulled this out of a pack. Yeah, when I was opening packs that year, this actually came out. So that's kind of cool. Now this, rock solid. I don't hear this moving. So how many cards was that in total? So why would you have told me it's 24 cards? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know this is boring. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12 cards. That's not 24. I'm going to take a closer look at that invoice I got now. But I'll tell you, I'm quite dubious of this whole 6.0 being $80 plus card. The sports cards came out graded quite nice, actually. I'm surprised at the 3 that I sent in and how high those graded. That's interesting. I'd like to see. I might actually look up to see how much these are worth after we're done recording this. Those Marvel cards, though, as I said, quality-wise, those things were a huge pita back in the day. I have so many, like as I say, sets of these, and just putting the template on top and seeing how many of them are off and how they're never printed center. Yeah, be careful sending those in, because I can tell you, I'm looking at the centering of that Black Panther one, and it looks the exact same to me as the 9.0 Professor X. Clearly, I'm not a grader, and I don't get it. Well, that was fun. That's weird. It's weird, and this is an interesting experience. Am I going to do this again? I don't know. I'm going to check that invoice. I am going to check that invoice. All right, well, there you go, guys. That's opening a PSA, first package in, and that's the stuff that came out of it. let's get into part 2, which is more angry mob stuff. Ooh, angry. Okay, I'm interrupting my own video here. Before we jump into part 2, for clarity, just to make sure that it doesn't seem like I'm slagging PSA on this at all, I completely misremembered it. It did not say 24. It clearly says 12 on the invoice. So they did invoice correctly at 12 units. Still somewhat dubious on that 6.0 being $80 plus. Whatever. Part 2. Jumping into part 2 now. This part is the heavy metal angry mob component, and I will tell you what happens in the heavy metal angry mob stays in the heavy metal angry mob. Now, lighting is going to be weird on this, and I'll warn you this right now. We got some crazy thunderstorms going by outside right now, so it's going to get bright and dark, and which is just setting the mood for a heavy metal thing. So I'll tell you, we do some pretty cool and wild things in the heavy metal angry mob, and mum's the word. I'm not telling you guys what it is, but some really cool stuff. In this one, though, I want to throw out some mad props to another Angry Mob member, Brian, who did a really cool contest on his own, of his own volition, for all the members to participate in. And I did participate in it, and I won a thing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to open up the thing and show you guys what came in it. So, Brian, this one's for you. I totally appreciate you sending this out. Mad props to you, and quite frankly put, mob rules. All right, let's pop this bad boy. I gotta tell you, I'm going to get that out of the way, because it's this package right here. This one says, do not bend. This is the one we want to open. Now, I'll tell you, what's fascinating, I didn't know this. Brian has his own shop, and it's called Warlock's Collectibles. And I know this because there's the thing right there. If you want to look that up, it's not collectibles, it's collectibles. Pretty darn cool. Very wonderful, but again, do not bend. And then fragile. We're going to break out the good knife on this one. Let's tear this bad boy open. Now, as part of this contest, we could choose, if we were in a certain position at a certain point in time, what prizes we wanted. And I will share with you the prize that I chose, because there are certain things where when I have the opportunity, I'm like, oh no, I will just totally go for that, thank you very much. And I actually cashed out of this contest early. So I said, nope, I have a chance to get it right now, I'm getting it right now. And it did. So, get that out of the way. Let's take this. Okay, we got a USPS package here that has been folded. How can I slide the contents out? I can't. I'm cheating. I cheated. All right, here we go. Foldy open here. Woo! Brian, you have packaged the living heck out of this thing. Okay, like a vault. That was the phrase I used a lot once upon a time. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna slicey, being incredibly careful to make sure that I'm slicing at the top of this. So slicey knife does not go anywhere into this. Here we go. All right, I've got this. Oh, okay, here we go. Sliding this out. Okay, we've got all the contents. Now, I'll tell you, what I chose here as my particular prize was a photo. And I'll show the photo. And what I'll do, again, the cameras suck at this crap. I will briefly show it to you. Then I'll take a picture of it, and we'll superimpose it up there once we get to it, okay? Now, with this, obviously this did not just have what it has, because I see more in here. I have some stuff. Oh! Okay, all right. Okay. All right, Brian, you got me on this one. Okay, so, you know, the universe sometimes works in very weird ways. So, I'm a Canadian. That's not a weird thing. I'm a Canadian, okay? I'm cool with that. Not that I need to be cool with that. I'm actually proud of that. But here's the thing. In a little bit, I'm going to be at a certain con, at a certain place in Canada, where a certain individual is going to be there. And it's funny because knowing this certain person is going to be there, I thought, you know, maybe it's time I actually went out of my way and picked up this particular ultra-Canadian book to take it to be signed. And I was futzing about, and I couldn't really find anything that was the right price for me because, well, it's expensive, I get it. And lo and behold, the first thing I get here that Brian has thrown in for me is the very book I was looking at, which is Captain Canuck #1. I'm going to put an image up over here, okay? For those of you who don't know, Captain Canuck is about as Canadian as, I don't know, hockey players that have blood that's made out of maple syrup. You can't get much more Canadian than Captain Canuck, and Richard Conley is going to be at the con that I'm going at. So I'm going to take this with me. Thank you very much, Brian. I totally appreciate this. And we will get this signed. That is epic cool. Epic. Ooh, okay. This was the price, and it's right smack dab in the middle here, which is why I'm kind of jumping at this. Okay, so I'm a Superman guy, as well as a sci-fi and sorcery guy. Okay, so I like my Superman. I watched the Smallville show. I watched the Lois and Clark and Clark and Lois. And there's a lot of things that I like about the Superman. One of the prizes that could come up, though, that was pretty darn cool, was a signed photo by the actress that played Supergirl in Smallville, Linda Vandervoort. And when I saw this as the prize that I could choose, if I could choose who won, I chose this one. And here it is. Now, she is playing on the new Supergirl show a different character. This is her signing a photo of her as the other character. So what I'm going to do, because this is actually a real photo, and this is pretty epic, I will now hold on for this one. And what I'll do is I'll wait until I actually see Supergirl at Toronto Fan Expo, hoping, fingers crossed. I'll bring that with me. Oh, what do we got? Oh, okay, here we go. Another Captain Canuck is underneath this one. So this one is actually already signed by Richard Conley. I can see the signature right there. Bang. That is pretty awesome. And it says Happy Canada Day on it. Okay, that's pretty darn. First Canada Day edition 24 summer special. I've never seen this before. That is so cool. Thank you very much for that, Brian. I totally appreciate it. What's under here? What do we got over here? We've got a whole bunch of cards. Now we just started. We opened this video with a whole bunch of cards. Ooh. These are various cards from various things. Oh my. What I'll do is I'll show this up over here. Ooh. And what I'll do with this is I'll show these as sort of a roll at the end of the video, showing each one of these cards. One of these is signed. I believe that is signed. I'm gonna have to check that one. That's pretty darn cool. And that is what came in the package. That's an Angry Mob thing. I gotta say, Brian, 2 point. This, first of all, the Supergirl one, epically awesome. Totally appreciate that. Throwing this in, also epically awesome and totally fits the scenario. Thank you very much for that. And once again, thank you very much for literally taking it upon yourself to run what you did within the Angry Mob. That is awesome. Mad props out to you. All right, there you go. That's the Angry Mob piece. I still didn't tell you guys what it was, but it's still epically cool. On to part 3. What the? Okay, correction. Before we go on to part 3, I don't even need to take this to get signed by Richard Conley. He's already signed it. Whoa, Brian. All right, on to part 3. Here we go. Last piece. Now, this was one. This isn't a random one. I know exactly what's inside this. Assuming they ship me the right thing. And this is actually part of something that I'm working on in the collection of Tennessee Fans. I'll say Arthur Adams' work is pretty darn epic, and I've always enjoyed reading it. I've always enjoyed what he does, especially his monster stuff. His monster stuff is epic. We made a, what is it? I think it was a 1-minute short. Yeah, I did make a 1-minute short. I'll put a link to it down in the description below, where I was showing his Monsters Attack book, which I picked up, I believe through his publishing company. It was a signed copy. Now, in that, actually, you know what? I'm going to hold that thought for a second because we're going to open this up. This is actually an eBay thing, and I don't eBay often. I really don't, for a variety of reasons. But this one was one where, because what happened was I was at my local comic shop, and I wanted to pick up this one particular run of Tom Strong. Now, Tom Strong, America's Best Comics, really interesting story. It's kind of like a Doc Savage type thing. And Alan Moore did some really interesting work on that. And honestly, I can't say enough about it. It's really one of those series where you want to pick it up. That one, another one that I would strongly encourage, that's sort of not a Marvel, not a DC, but it's a great series. And the breadth and depth in it that really warrants you paying attention to it is Astro City Tales. Those two, I think, are probably the most, well, I'd say they're probably some of the most strong work that you see that just seems to be forgotten. And I don't really understand why, because they did beautiful, beautiful work. Anyways, this one is related to a Tom Strong IP that came out in Tom Strong's Terrific Tales. For crying out loud. This just does not want to open. This is what happens when you're babbling and trying to do two things at once. I should probably focus on one thing at once because let's just face facts. I'm a man and a man can barely do one thing at once at the best of times. The gist of the matter is, I was at the local comic shop and they said, oh, hey, Tennessee fans, you're going to want to check this out because, we got some stuff over here. And you mentioned this series to us once. I actually found issues number 2 through 10 of Tom Strong's Terrific Tales. This is one of Tom Strong's series. Now, many of you are going to say, okay, well, what's the gist? What's the Arthur Adams connection here? Within Tom Strong's Terrific Tales are the stories of Jonni Future. Jonni Future, am I saying that correctly? Yeah, I think I am. It was a very interesting sci-fi character. It's weird. It's one of these things where if you get it, you get it. But it's also some of Arthur Adams' strongest work at drawing really like sci-fi monster fantasy type scenes. Now, throw on top that your typical 1990s-esque, we need to make all of these female superheroines look as out there as possible. It's a thing. But if you look at everything that goes with it, it really is some incredible work. So I said, I'm going to pick this stuff up. I'm going to start buying into this. I want to get this run. I want to get this Jonni Future thing. Well, what was missing was issue number 1. Well, assuming this is actually shipped the right one, it is issue number 1. Jonni Future, right there. I'll put the image up over there. I'd say this is something that I've wanted to pick up for a while, specifically because I couldn't find it anywhere. It's interesting that these smaller series that came out that just sort of just came and then went, nobody seems to ever have, well, A, in their shop, or B, if they do, they're utterly destroyed. It kind of missed me that I got to go on eBay to pick up this one. But, I'm glad I have it. Now, there is one more book that I need, and that actually finishes the entire thing, and that is it was a one-shot. I've already ordered it. It's not here yet. But that, in theory, is the first appearance of Jonni Future, because in that, Jonni Future is, I believe they appear as a poster or as an insert or an info thing. I don't really like the way people call those first appearances, but that one will be coming, well, whenever the next order comes with, well, actually, quite frankly put, when the next Titan Omnibus gets published and is being shipped to me. It's going to piggyback on that shipment. So, pretty happy to have that one. I now have, as I say, the entire run of Tom Strong's Terrific Tales. And it was all done in one trip to a comic shop and then just going online and buying this. Pretty cool stuff. Quite happy with that. Alright, let's wrap this interrupting middle of the week video up, shall we? I think we shall. I tell you, I put these ones in the middle of the week and not part of our regular pushed schedule where I put stuff out on the weekends because these are where I'm covering topics that are a little off. These are things that are not going to be of interest to the standard sword and sorcery guys. They're not going to be of interest to the standard book things where I do a book review. And they're also not going to really be comic things. But I wanted to share what my first experience with PSA was like, just as a standard Canadian comic collector that's throwing some cards in. Now, there were Impel cards in here, which are kind of comic related, but it may be a stretch. I get it. We're not going to get everybody with this one. But for those of you who are interested in what it was like to submit something through PSA, well, I just told you. Now, I will be very clear on this one, though. My old man brain was kicking in huge on this one, and I was totally misremembering that invoice. It clearly said 12 units, not 24. So PSA was dead right on that. Definitely not shade to be thrown at them on that one. The other thing of real interest to me is how that Shohei Ohtani card came out at a 10, and why the guys seem to be so excited about that when I was dropping it off. That could be an interesting one to see. I'm going to have to look that up. It could be a thing. I don't know. But, interesting process of sending it in. Am I going to do it again? Well, I'll tell you, I don't know right now. And the reason why I don't know is because, honestly, based on my eyeballs, I can't tell the difference between a 6 on that Impel card and that 10 or a 9. Actually, I didn't get a 10 on an Impel card. A 9 on an Impel card. I really can't see it. I'm hopeful the QR code on the back when I scan that will give me a little more detail. If it does, great. Maybe I'll poke around in here because I'll learn something new about how to improve what I'm sending in next time to make sure that we aren't getting any 6s back. And then maybe I'll go ahead and do it again. Otherwise, I'm just going to say, listen, this was fun. I'm glad I got what I got. I'm going to leave it at that. Also wanted to throw out mad thank yous and mad props to Brian. If you're in Amherst, Ohio, by all means, check out Warlock's Collectibles. Now, I got to tell you, there are not a lot of people out there in the hobby that would take something on like this endeavor by themselves and say, this is what I'm going to do for this community. And he did. And honestly, there are good people in these communities. There are good people out in the hobbies. go find them. If you're there, stop by to see Brian's. Tell him Tennessee Fat says hi. I am insanely happy with what I got here. This is like opening that up and seeing those 2 books, both already signed by Richard Combs. I don't need to go get them signed when I see them at the con now. I can just stop by, shake hands, and talk with them, and which is going to be a much better experience because I'm not sitting there going, oh boy, is he going to sign my book? It's just going to be, oh boy, I get to meet him. And that's probably what I'm going to be like. I'll totally geek out, just like that. The last one here is we walk through the Jonni Future thing. That's pretty cool stuff, and I will encourage you, check out more Alan Moore stuff. Check out that Astro City Tales, not Alan Moore related, but check that out as well. I will strongly suggest those things will pay dividends in readings for years. Everybody, I don't want to go too long on this one, so I'm going to wrap this up here. Have yourself a great rest of the day. We'll see you in the next video. All right, now, before we go anywhere, we need to spend a moment here, because I need to clarify something that I misstated more than 5 times in the video. Here's the deal. Okay, I sent an email out to the PSA guys while I was just sitting down this afternoon, post-recording, just to make sure I was adding everything in. And I said, guys, I'm confused. I'm not really understanding here because I see 80 plus, but these cards can't be $80 plus. Now, there's a couple things here. First of all, why in my brain did I think $80 was some sort of dollar threshold? Where does 80 come from? Okay, PSA got back to me in less than a half an hour on a Sunday afternoon. 2 points for you, PSA. That is strong customer service and well done. Because they got back to me and they said, no. 80 plus means it's made after 1980. That's how we set the tier of, I guess, what they would consider maybe a modern card. I was like, oh. So there you go. As a newbie to the industry who knows nothing about it, thanks for the clarification. Totally helped. I entirely get it now. So any shade that may have come in this video where I was saying, how is this $80? No. Totally not $80. PSA is not saying it's $80. It means after 1980. So good to know. I'm glad we clarified that.